Quorum, so I'll call the meeting to order. And let's see. First on the agenda, if I can find the agenda, just a minute. There it is. Citizens communication. Do we have any citizens communication? No? Okay, well, that was quick. Next, introductions and welcome to the board. That probably would have made more sense to start there, but there's an order to this. So we have some new faces. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Claudia Llanos, and I'm in my second term with the Equity Commission, so I just got reappointed to term 2. Happy to be here with you all. 20-plus year resident of Pflugerville. Kids either graduated high school from Pflugerville high schools or are currently in a Pflugerville high school. And I joined the Equity Commission because it's aligned with my core values. I'm Hispanic, Mexican American, grew up on the Texas-Mexico border, and have had wonderful opportunities in Texas. And I think I want to make sure that's cultivated and supported still today and in our own community. So that's my quick little bio and intro. I'm the vice chair, as you saw, and I'll let each of you all introduce yourselves. Maybe we start with the new members.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm Corey Wallen. Name's wrong, but Corey Wallen. I've lived in Pflugerville for 3 years. I've lived in Texas for about 11 now. I moved down about 10 years ago to work for IBM, and I just wanted to join the Equity Commission. It means a lot to me, and I'm in an interracial gay marriage, and half my family's black, and it just, like, the things that affect them affect me, and I wanted to really, pitch in and do something for the community in that way. So,
Welcome.
Well, I am Virginia Miller. I moved to Pflugerville in 2017. I am a native 5th generation Texan. So I grew up in Austin. After graduation, left home, flew the coop, came back, and like you, I just want to see equity continue in our communities here in Texas, here in the central region, in general. And you can't sit on the sidelines and complain when there's an opportunity to support and be involved.
Wonderful. Welcome.
I'm Katrina. This is the end of my first year on the Equity Commission. I grew up in Pflugerville. I've been here for, 20-something years now. I own a business in Pflugerville, and I work in the schools here in Pflugerville too. So, equity. And I'm also a special needs mom, so there's a lot of, things where I'd like to see equity still prosper within Pflugerville.
That's me.
Okay. Oh, Jennifer Griswold, staff liaison and library director, and very happy to see all of y'all here.
Awesome. All right. Shall we continue with the agenda?
Yes.
All right. Next item is discussion regarding board, commission, and committee policy and procedure.
Yes, that is for me. I'm Trista. I'm the city secretary. I've seen all of you many times, but I'm usually in a corner somewhere taking notes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for serving on this board, giving your time and energy. We know that's the greatest commodity, so we all appreciate it. I am going to go through this training. You have the packet of the presentation that I'm giving for later reference. You also have a handbook that covers a lot of what I'm covering in more detail. So if you have questions, ask me here, ask me later. Anytime, I'm happy to answer. If you have a question, you can stop me. I talk very quickly, and I've worked very hard to slow down, so just know this is the slowed down version as much as I can. Feel free to interrupt me, ask questions. I'm going to roll through it. So starting off, general local government information. For some of you, this will be a refresher. That's great. We'll move along, won't spend too long on it. So we're a home rule city under a council manager form of government. Think about it like a CEO and a board, right? The board, which is our council, drives policies. The city manager drives operations and makes those policies come into fruition. We do have a city charter that is reviewed every 5 years by a charter review commission, which is appointed by the city council of up to 20 residents of the city to review. We had one a couple years ago. We're going to have one in another 2 to 3 years. Boards and commissions, this is something that the city council creates. There's a number of different ways that they can create them, and it's really for whatever purpose they deem necessary. So our equity commission is one of the newer commissions because city council decided that this was a necessary component for the city of Pflugerville, and that's why you're all here. And so the function, authority, and responsibility are generally set out under ordinances, resolutions. Some of them are set out by state law, depending on the board and what purpose it serves. Code of conduct. You all have this in your packet. I also have emailed it out to you at the point of your final appointment. This is, it was adopted by resolution by the city council. It is for the city council and also for boards and commissions. Basically, it's to make sure that we are following our own rules and have it all in writing, so there's no question about what we're all supposed to be doing. In general, I'm going to run through the high points. It's fairly straightforward. First and foremost, act in public interest. You are here for the public, not for yourself. For yourself, of course, because it's great to serve. Make sure that you're serving the city as a whole. Comply with the law. Conduct of members, very straightforward. Please be respectful to everyone around you, public, private, whoever it is. If you're acting as in your position as a board member, be mindful of that. Respect for process. This refers to the process of the board where Jennifer is your staff liaison. She is going to put together the agenda and send out all the materials. Make sure you flow through the same process that's been created. If you have any input or suggestions, we're all happy to hear it. Just we're going to follow that same process that has been established. Use electronics, again, be respectful in the meeting. Conduct business in the open. This is the Open Meetings Act. I'm going to get into this more in detail in a couple minutes. Basically, everything we do is public, so everything you talk about or vote on is going to be public. Decisions based on merit. Share relevant information. This is, if you are receiving information about an item that is on the agenda from an outside source, whether you need to share it in the meeting here by saying, I have this information that everyone needs to know, or you can provide it to Jennifer and she can provide it to the board as a whole. Do not email everybody on the board. That's a violation of the Open Meetings Act. We'll get into that later. Send it to Jennifer if it's something that you think the board needs to know. Conduct of public meetings. Again, this is going to be very straightforward. It's in your code that you have. It's a pretty long section. Be respectful and mindful of others. Conflicts of interest. I step back here a little bit and say, read what's on the slide. It's a very specific law. If you feel you might have a conflict of interest, read through this section, ask yourself those questions. If you say yes to any of them, there is a form to fill out and provide to me. I cannot tell you whether or not you have a conflict of interest. I will ask you these questions and you will say yes or no. It's a personal conflict of interest. You need to judge best for yourself. If you find that you do, reach out to me and we'll get you sorted out. If you do have a conflict of interest, what that means is you're going to be signing an affidavit basically saying, I have a conflict of interest, generally why you have that conflict of interest, and then you will not be allowed to engage in discussion or voting on that particular item. You will have to step away. You cannot be involved in that. Gifts and favors. The baseline rule is don't receive any gifts that are over $50 in value. However, if you are about to receive a gift from somebody and you feel a little weird because you think they might want something, just say no. Even if it's a $5 candy bar, if the intent feels uncertain, just say no thank you. Confidential information is confidential. If you receive it, please do not share it. As board members, you may or may not occasionally receive confidential information. Some of these items, even your personal email addresses are confidential. So if you receive something from us of correspondence, Don't then forward that along because there may be something that's confidential. If you have any questions, you can ask me and I'll let you know. The same thing if, and this board's going to have a little bit less of it, but if there is ever a time where there's a legal conversation that has to happen, that's going to happen behind closed doors. Don't share and go home and talk about it to whoever, and then they'll go talk about all that kind of stuff. So just be mindful and be careful. Use of public resources. If you're using it for the purpose of serving on the board, that's great. That's what it's there for. Make sure that's why you're using it. Representation of private interests. There's another one, I'm just going to read it straight from the code. You shall not appear before the own body or council on behalf of the private interest of third parties on matters related to the areas of service of their bodies. I know it's a little convoluted. So you are serving on the board for the city. You're not serving on the board as an advocate for a private party. So be mindful of that. Advocacy, this is advocacy related to items on the board. Be mindful when you're presenting discussion about what's happened on the board. Be mindful if you're speaking as your own individual self or if you're speaking as a member of the board. When it comes to the actions that you take or the votes that you make, you are a single one body of the Equity Commission. If you need one to speak about it on your own self, make sure you make that very clear. And we'll come up to that again later here in a second. Policy role of members, I'm going to kind of go right by that. It's follow the rules, basically. This independence, it's independence of boards and commissions. This is directed more towards council. This is council saying they will not be, they will not influence deliberations of the boards and commissions. So you are serving as the Equity Commission. City Council is not going to come in here and say, you need to vote this way. No, that's what that line is. Positive and constructive environment, personal political advocacy. So this one's a little tricky. So when you're endorsing or opposing a ballot or initiative, anything in a City of Pflugerville election, you will be doing so as your own private party, not as a member of the Equity Commission. As a member of the Equity Commission, you serve at the will of the council, whoever they may be, and on any given day. So and this is where it can get a little tricky, and social media is going to run into that here a little bit. Be very mindful of how you're speaking. If you're speaking as an Equity Commission member, there are certain things you're going to have to steer a little bit away from, and then you're going to have to take off that hat and step over here, and then do whatever you want to do in your private life. And that's the same for social media. If you use whatever social media platform you choose to use to speak about the Equity Commission as a member serving on its board, that is potentially government record. And we're going to talk about that again here in a second. So be mindful of that. Once you become, and as you're appointed to a public office of, it's the Equity Commission, it's appointed by City Council. Be very mindful of if you are presenting yourself as Equity Commission member, here's what I have to say. So I'm going to walk a couple of lines there. If the media does come to talk to you, and that's another one, you are only speaking for yourself. We have a robust communications department who manages all of city's communications. Feel free to direct them that way, and that would be very much preferred. If you're going to speak to them, you will be speaking to them as an individual, not as a member of the commission. Open Meetings Act. This is my life. I could probably read this off for you, but I won't because it's far too long. So this training that all of you have done at least once or are about to do, this is a 1-hour training that covers an Open Meeting Act. I watch this probably once a year because there's a lot of information in an hour. It's always good to refresh yourself whenever you are unsure. In general, every meeting of a governmental body is going to be conducted in public. Great, what's a governmental body? you're basically a governmental body. It's whatever the city determines to be a governmental body. And so for us, we have determined that every board and commission has that designation of governmental body, which means we're going to follow the Open Meetings Act. So in general, what constitutes a meeting? It's a quorum of the body where public business is discussed. Action does not have to be taken for it to qualify for a meeting. It can be just discussions, it can be just presentations. The four of you can sit here and not say a word. I can do this presentation and leave. That's still a meeting. This notice of meeting is required. That's Jennifer and I and the Deputy City Secretary get that taken care of. It's a written notice. These are all the required items, subject of the matters to be discussed. These have to be detailed enough that people know what is going to be discussed. Not so detailed that we limit your ability to have a robust discussion, but we have to be very transparent and let people know what's going on in these meetings. It has to be posted 72 hours in advance, and any action taken at a meeting that was not properly noticed is voidable. What this means is if I accidentally don't put that agenda on the bulletin board before I leave work on Friday, this meeting will be canceled. We cannot hold it if that is not posted on the bulletin board 72 hours in advance. Hasn't happened in a very long time. Not going to say it never happens. If it does, we cancel the meeting, and you'll get a phone call that says, nope, this can't happen. So there are two different sort of sections of a meeting. Open session is this. It is an open discussion. Anyone can come sit in this room and hang out with us. They don't have to live in Pflugerville. They don't have to be anything other than present. So it has to be accessible, open to the public. A quorum of the body must be present for the meeting. So if there's only 3 of you here, it's not going to be a meeting until the 4th one shows up, and then you have to call it to order, and then it's a meeting. Minutes are also kept in our public record. Jennifer takes the minutes. You will approve the minutes at the following meeting, and then those are the final permanent record of the meeting. An executive session is one where the discussion can happen behind closed doors. In an executive session, there is no action taken. All action is taken in public, but discussion may be taken in executive session for very, very specific circumstances. And this is going to be about legal discussions. I'll get into more detail here in a second. So in order to hold a closed session, the meeting has to be convened in an open session, called to order in general. The presiding officer announces that a closed session will be held without any action taken, and then any discussion can occur in there, and then comes back out, reconvenes an open session, and then the rest of the meeting happens. Or not. If it's only an executive session meeting, which has happened before, you call to order, you go to executive session, you come back and you adjourn, and that's the meeting. So some of the main exceptions will be consultation with attorney, real property deliberations, negotiations, personnel matters, security personnel, the types of things that for very specific reasons cannot be discussed in public. But again, any action is taken in open session. What is not a meeting? Social functions unrelated to public business. They're not a meeting. Attendance at a workshop, ceremonial event, press conference, that's not going to be considered a meeting. All that being said, if all of you are together in one place, please be mindful of what you're speaking about. If you start talking about city business, you're toeing a line that really should wait until an officially called meeting. You will, I'm sure, frequently find yourselves in the same place at the same time. We have lots of city events. You'll be around, say hi, hang out with each other socially. Just be aware of what you're talking about. Any questions so far? Okay. Public Information Act. This is where I spend the other 50% of my day. So city government is for the public. And so everything that we do is the public's. There are, of course, confidentiality issues and things that we have to be very aware of, but in general, all city records are considered open to the public unless there is an exception. The default is it's public. You have to find out if there's a reason that there's not. Open records requests, anyone can ask for anything. It just has to be in writing. And we can't, the request has to be for something that already exists, not to create information or go do research. If we have it, then we can respond to the request. And there are many different ways we can respond to a request, and I can certainly get into that later. It's not the most relevant here, but always happy to discuss open records requests with anyone, anytime they want. What is a city record? Any and all information that's related to city business. And that sounds very vague and broad because it is, and that's exactly what it is. It doesn't mean we have to keep everything, but it means that it all technically will fall under a government record. It doesn't matter where that thing is saved. It can be a piece of paper, it can be an email, it can be a photograph, it can be on my phone. It does not matter. I say that to say this. You are now city officials. So the things that you do for the board is government record. So if you are maintaining city records, city correspondence on your personal devices, those are still government record. If there's an open records request that involves correspondence, we'll reach out to you individually to see if there is anything. I have some ways to avoid that ever having to happen here in a second. So I have to respond to every request within 10 business days. That response can either be, here are your records, we don't have any records, we need clarification on what you're asking, or what you are asking is potentially confidential and we have to send it to the Attorney General. Here are the rules. That means that if we do come to you for any sort of records, we are going to be seeking a prompt response so that we can get that processed for the requester. Anything that is on your personal device that is not city business, we don't care. We're not going to take your phone. We're not going to try, show me all your emails. Not going to do that. We will ask you and you will say yes or no. If you say no, we have a little form that you'll sign to say, yes, I reviewed, and the answer is no. The way to avoid even having to ask that question, anything you receive from city staff has record of that. So you don't need to worry about it. It's already in our system. We're not going to ask you for it. Any emails that you receive from city staff or that you send to city staff, already in our system. You don't even have to worry about it. If you are sending an email to somebody related to city business and it is not a person on city staff, copy city staff. Copy Jennifer. Make sure that as long as city staff is included, it's in our system. You don't ever have to worry about it again. And generally avoid texting. That's going to be what'll stick you if you are texting about something, some in-depth city business related item. Not a, hey, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Oh, I'm running a little bit late. That record is considered as long as administratively valuable, which means you can delete it at any time, and it's not really a record when it comes to correspondence for city government record. I say that because we have this rule from the Texas State Library and Archives Commission. They have retention schedules that determines how long we keep everything. It's a minimum requirement. We, of course, can keep things longer and often do because things are useful longer than sometimes this schedule says. Emails are not, how long do I have to keep this email? It depends on the email. If there's not a catch-all for emails, it depends on the content. But again, you'll never have to worry about it as long as you keep city staff copied on anything you do for this commission. Here's my contact information. All of that is also in the packet that you have. Feel free to reach out to me, phone call, email. That number and that email goes to both myself and Ashley. She can answer all the same questions that I can. So if you have a question, call us, someone will answer. The last thing I want to cover is in the packet towards the end. I'm not going to go through it here, but there is a section in the handbook about the conduct of public meetings and how to take actions, how to vote, how to amend a motion, those types of things that will come up. I recommend you read through them. Those are the general orders of procedure for making a motion to approve something and seconding something and then voting on it. The way you vote has to be recorded, so you have to just say yes or no. All of that is in there. That the citizens communication that Claudia called for, that is a requirement of the Open Meetings Act. If there is someone here from the public who wants to speak, they can come talk to you for 3 minutes about literally anything. There is no requirement about what they can or cannot talk about. They can come and talk about whatever they want for 3 minutes and then respectfully say thank you and move on. You cannot talk about it if it's not an item that's on the posted agenda. So if they bring up a brand new subject, you're gonna have to sit there quietly and say thank you and then move on. If it's not on the agenda, you cannot talk about it. If they ask a question, you cannot answer it. Something to note, and certainly something that can be brought up on a future agenda, but if it's not posted, you can't talk about it. It's the Open Meetings Act. Everything that's talked about has to be posted on the agenda. If they talk about something that is on the agenda, then you can have that conversation. Any questions?
So,
Yes.
If someone has an off-topic that's not germane to the topic, what if we wanted that in a future meeting? Like, how would we go about?
Let Jennifer know. Let Jennifer know.
Okay.
Yep. Let her know, and then if it's, appropriate for the board to discuss and, all that kind of stuff, then yeah, that would be the best way.
Makes sense.
Okay. If you think of any questions tonight while you're thinking about all of this, as I know you all will be, feel free to email me, call me. I'm happy to help. Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right. Moving right along. We have approval of minutes. We have minutes from the August 14th and a special meeting, minutes of a special meeting from August 24th. I reviewed the minutes, so I'm comfortable making a motion to approve them.
Okay.
But open to any discussion on the minutes. Otherwise, I will need a second, I believe, to, okay. Could I cut off discussion? We're still reviewing, but I don't think either of you were here, but I don't know if you saw the meeting.
I tried to review it.
Okay.
So I saw something about reducing the meeting. So are we like voting?
I don't think we're voting on
Any of
we're voting just on the minutes,
The minutes?
right?
Right now, yeah.
And I think we're gonna get to the calendar.
There is an agenda item for a calendar.
Okay, cool.
All right, so we have a second. So with that, all in favor of approving the meeting minutes from August 14th and August 24th, say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Aye? 3 ayes? Okay,
Well, yeah, I guess I only have maybe it's just a little grammatical error. I'm not sure.
I'm sure it is if I could.
Yeah.
I did
The
not catch.
Victor 2, chair, is that correct?
On which,
It's all the way, it's on each item.
Victor T.
Under 5A.
okay.
Should it be Victor to chair? Should there be a comma there or?
Victor Toe?
Oh, that's his last name.
Oh, Victor Toe. Okay.
Yes.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's his name. All
Okay,
right.
so he's no longer here?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was like,
Fair question. All right. All right. So on that note, good transition. Discuss and consider action to appoint officers to the Equity Commission. So my understanding is there's 2 officers,
Correct.
the chair and the vice chair. And I'm currently the vice chair.
Correct.
So we need a chair now that Victor is no longer on this commission. And
Well, they'll be voting for chair and vice chair,
oh, okay.
every
Oh,
January.
all right, cool.
Yeah.
Never mind. I don't assume I'm vice chair. Thank you for clarifying.
Sure, no problem. Okay. So I will ask for a motion to appoint someone as chair. Does anybody have any strong feelings?
My motion to appoint Claudia Yanez as chair. Sure.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Yay, Claudia. Now I'm going to turn it back over to you, and you can ask for the vice chair.
Yes, so we need a vice chair. Do I have any motions for nominees to vice chair?
I can't vote.
I motion for Katrina Whitman to be vice chair.
I second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay. So, congratulations, Katrina. Vice chair, vice chair, and congratulations to me as chair. Awesome. All right. Moving right along. Discuss and consider action on 2024 calendar.
So last year, the Equity Commission voted to hold the meetings every other month rather than every month. And if needed, have special meetings. So if there was something that came up between the meetings, then you can hold a special meeting. So today I will need you guys to decide on that, with the first meeting beginning in February and then going every other month after that.
Not a huge fan. So I would say monthly is my preference.
Okay. I'm turning it over to you.
Yeah, I think given the turnover and the changes with the committee, and for us to gain any traction, it probably makes sense to go back to monthly. So I would agree with that. Other thoughts from the group?
No, I was expecting monthly myself, so.
Yeah, I think at the beginning it would be okay to go to monthly, just so that the new members can get familiar with how things work, and then if, in a few months we go back to every other month.
Yeah, we
that's
can
fine
always
too.
reassess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll call for a motion?
So can I have a motion to resume monthly meetings of the Equity Commission starting in February 2024?
Make a motion.
Second, all right, all in favor? Aye. All right.
Glad I already booked the room.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure, no problem. Let me set it up for Trina.
Oh, and is that gonna be the first or second Monday? Because this is the second.
It's the second Monday.
Okay.
Where are my notes at?
All right. Do I continue, or we're getting ready for the last item on the agenda, which is discussion only of discussion regarding introduction to listening sessions from Brianna Higgins, who is assistant to the city manager.
I'm slowly growing up here. I have very sore legs. I did leg day the other day.
All right.
Day 2 is the day that
It
you're
is
supposed to legs.
delayed onset soreness. I hate it too.
I'm feeling that today.
Okay, I'll let you.
Okay. So hi, I'm Brianna Higgins. I'm assistant to the city manager. Our members that were already on the commission have kind of heard about this before, but I'm going to act as though no one's ever heard about it ever before, and this is the first time I'm presenting. When you were appointed to the Equity Commission, you may have heard council talk about wanting you to go out into the community and talk with the community and hear back from the community, and they may have mentioned the listening sessions or listening to the community, and this is what they were referring to. Today I'm going to give you a very high-level overview of what that looks like. And then at your next meeting, we'll dive into the nitty-gritty just a little bit. But we didn't want to overwhelm you, not saying that you can't handle it, but more so you had time to think about the concept before we really discussed and made any decisions and actions. So what is a listening tour? Well, this is your program. Staff is here to help you through it, but it's really the Equity Commission's program. What it is going out into the community, hosting 10 sessions and talking with the community. There's a set of 10 questions. You'll see them soon, I promise, but not yet. Where you get their feedback and you quite literally just sit and listen. You ask them questions. The community will give you their answers. You facilitate conversation. Staff will be there, but in a sense of sitting in a corner just listening. We aren't going to answer any questions. We're not going to ask any questions. We're taking notes. We're a fly on the wall so that you and the residents that are there to talk with you feel comfortable. Okay, so what are the objectives? Community outreach. We want to hear from the residents, right? That's always our objective. 2, checking in with our residents. Are we doing good? Are we doing bad? We're doing so-so. This rocks. You could do better in this area. All of that. 3rd is building relationships. One thing that we've heard a lot is, in the past, is people don't necessarily know we have an equity commission. Or they know we have an equity commission, but they don't know what they do, or they don't know how to get involved, and they want to give their feedback. So this is one way of doing that, is to build those relationships with our residents, with different groups, different organizations, getting out there. 4th is hearing resident feedback. I kind of mentioned that a little bit as well. And then 5 is evaluating where we are. You'll see in a bit that I have a planning document for you. The goal is you ask these questions, and you're like, cool, what do we do with the answers? Well, then you evaluate the answers. Maybe we see that a lot of residents in a very specific neighborhood are saying that their park is horrible. And you're seeing that another park is getting great feedback about their park. Well, now we're seeing there's an issue, right? Our parks aren't getting the same amount of attention. That then tells staff what we need to do as a staff to go out there, fix that park, make it better, whatever it is. I think our parks are amazing, but I haven't been to every single one, so there might be a park that needs some help. So, I didn't want to hand it to you yet because I didn't want you to start looking at it while I was talking. I was a student in school, and I totally did that all the time. So this is a planning document for you. Before, it used to be titled Outline. I've made some changes for those who have seen it before. I listened to kind of some feedback on what we've heard in the past, and I wanted to make this as easy as possible. So in this planning document, I'll ask that you review it in depth at a later time, not right now, but I just want to give you an overview so you know what I just handed you. 1 is an outline of what the day would look like, what the agenda for a listening session would look like. Next is a timeline. This one's kind of important. Luckily, we planned in case you decide to do every other month as meetings, or in case you didn't. And so you'll see January's not on here because I'm just giving you an overview. At the next meeting, we're going to go over this a little bit more in depth. We're going to talk it through. You're going to come prepared with any questions you have about the sessions. And then after that, we'll start planning. So March is just planning. I don't anticipate that I'll be here talking with you all. I anticipate that you'll be planning it outside. But then April will finalize those dates. And so you'll see on the next page, this is new for those who've seen this, listening toward dates. Again, I'm going to go over this in more detail, but I just want to get you familiar of what these pages look like. In very short, we're asking that as commission members that you are a facilitator at 2 meetings. There'll be 10 total meetings. You get to pick which meeting you facilitate. You get to decide where that meeting's at. You pick the place, the time, the location, the date, all of that jazz, and you'll facilitate. Again, staff will be there to help, but it's your thing. I'm also tasking you to invite one person to every single meeting, whether you facilitate it or not. Because if you invite one person, actually it's 2 people, not one person, 2 people, I can do math. 2 people to every meeting, then that's at least a guaranteed 10 people to know that a meeting is happening and they can come, right? Once we do the thing, we go to every meeting, we get all the information, we'll summarize all that information. A while ago, the Equity Commission adopted 5 pillars of where they kind of wanted to focus on. We anticipate we might be able to organize our summary of findings into those 5 pillars, possibly because they're very general. That's the goal at least. And then afterwards, we'll take those 5 pillars, that feedback, and we'll figure out action steps. Now that might be action steps for you as a commission. You might say, hey, whoa, this is great. We learned that we need to do X, Y, Z as a commission. It could also be action steps for staff. Like I said, maybe we need to go check out another park that we haven't been giving as much attention to as we should. The last page is a facilitator guide. I'm not going to give you a role, not help you complete that role, right? And so this kind of shows you how you would behave and act as a facilitator, some tips and tricks if you've never facilitated a conversation. And again, for you to be able to look at this in depth before the next February meeting, and then we can talk and I can answer more questions and you don't feel like you need to think of all your questions right here, right now. That's a very high overview. Are there any questions that you think need to be answered right now before you have time to really go over this?
How are the audiences going to be identified or outreach occur?
Yeah, so what we'll do is, what staff will do is share out that these listening sessions are happening. We're asking you as a commission to identify where it occurs. It's suggested that it's throughout the city. Maybe it's at a church, maybe it's at an HOA meeting or a community center that you're aware of. But we want you to go out into the community, meet the community where they're at to have these sessions. And then any resident can attend. As long as they're a resident of the city of Pflugerville, any resident can attend. And we'll have an online form for them to kind of sign up so we're aware of roughly how many people are going to be there. But it won't be necessarily if you're a student that's 15 to 20 attend this session. It's open to all residents.
Is there consideration for any session being online?
That hadn't been discussed previously. I think potentially hosting one on Zoom might be possible, but we'd have to get with kind of our IT team to see what's available there. Okay.
Well, will they be publicized via the city channels or?
No, so we will not record or
I mean
live
the
stream.
actual dates and times.
Yes,
not
dates
the meeting
and times.
itself.
Yes, the dates and times will be published, and we'll have that on our website. We'll have our comms team help push it out as well. In terms of streaming, recording the video of the meeting, that won't occur because we want residents to feel as comfortable as possible speaking. You'll find that people aren't as comfortable speaking if a video camera is on them, and we don't want to make anyone kind of hold back on what they want to say. So, February. This is kind of preparing for what the February meeting will look like. You'll hear me talk about this again, but in much more detail and depth. You'll have time to have looked over this planning document in depth and come back with any questions. So I task you to review the planning document, come back with questions, and think about what month maybe you would be interested in planning. And at that next meeting, you can discuss if, for example, Katrina plans all of July, which is just 2 meetings in July, or maybe Katrina and Corey want to split July, and Corey does 1 meeting, and Katrina does the other. We can talk about that in February, but think about it, so that way when we come here, you're prepared to say, this is what I want to do, and this is what I was thinking. Sound good? Okay. So, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Jennifer and me, and I'll be happy to answer them in the meantime.
I'm looking forward to finally making it happen. I have like 5 versions of this document from past. All right. So I think I just need a motion to adjourn. Sorry.
Unless there's any other discussion.
Any other discussion?
A second?
I got a second. Adjourn.
Okay.
All right.